everyone. My name is my name is Lauren, and I'm the current president here at Chester Student Union. I'd like to start by thanking you all for joining us today, especially those in person and online, and also a special thanks to the candidates for coming to speak to us today. At Chester Student Union, we strive to improve student experience here at the University of Chester, and that's kind of our main purpose. So I'm really excited to hear the ideas that candidates have to share with us about how they will improve the student lives here at Chester. Unfortunately, some of the candidates can't be with us today. How will go more into that in a moment. The SU elections are one of the most important events of our calendar, as we are a democratic organisation led by students for students. So it's crucial for us to be democratic and to authentically represent the student voice here at Chester. Before we start, I just need to alert you that the fire exit at the back and then also one here, and the toilets can be found around the corner. I'll hand over to Howard now so that he can give you an overview of how the evening will work. But before that, I want to say good luck to all the candidates and the team will smash it. Thank you.
I'm Howard, I'm a staff member, and along with Lauren, I'll be hosting tonight. Thank you all for coming. The purpose of tonight is for voters to understand the candidates a bit more and to give the candidates a platform to speak directly to students. Obviously, people in this room, but then we're also live streaming. We're on the Chester SU website and on social media as well. And so the audience is wider than everyone in this room, although everyone in this room gets free pizza, so you're winning so far. In terms of how the night will run, the candidates have been told all the details of this, but for the wider audience, each candidate will do it in order of education, student life, and then president. Each candidate will come up and make a 2-minute speech that they've prepared. They'll then be asked 2 questions that they already know, and then they'll have to be asked a further 2 questions from you guys in the audience. So I want you to be thinking throughout of questions, interesting questions to ask candidates. Just a note, so obviously this is nerve-wracking for the candidates. I've been a candidate before in an election. It's a very intimidating experience. So we're trying to do tonight in as friendly and as sort of a relaxed vibe, if that's the word, as much as possible. And we'll be doing that in our sharing as well, but just generally be kind and gentle to the candidates is what I ask. A lot of candidates are in the room, so hopefully that won't be too much of a controversial thing to say. So we're going to start firstly with the education candidates, of which there are 3. 2 have sent apologies, but have sent statements. So I'm just going to ask Lois to come up to the stage. We can have a round of applause. So the education officer, the VP Education, is the representative of students on academic matters primarily. And we're going to start with a 2-minute speech from you, Lois, and then we're going to read out the speech from the candidates.
So hello everyone, my name is Lois and I'm going to be running to your Vice President of Education for the second year. So I am currently your Vice President of Education this year, and since July 2022 I have been able to make positive changes, being able to see and make changes that I believe are going to have a positive impact towards your better student life and experience. I believe that this year is just the beginning, and I'd like to continue making achievements to better your student experience and the academic representation at all campuses and centres. I can work tirelessly to represent the voice of the student body and to address the key issues that matter most to you throughout this academic year. I have been also a student rep for 3 years, a department rep for 2 years, and a student consultant within the Wellbeing Department in Bates for 2 years as well, valuing my fine art and education degree that I recently completed last year. I promise to continue my dedication to improving your university experience and making Chester a better place for all. My main priorities for this year will be focusing on student representation, student-led networks, mental health and wellbeing, course module context and structure, and academic success. All these points will go into more detail on my Instagram as well, which is lois.barnett.bpa in the next coming week. but please feel free to come over and speak to me when you can see me. Thank you.
I'm now going to move on to the other two candidates. So that is Jack and Toby. Toby hasn't sent a speech. Both have told me that they're not doing well. So I'm going to read the speech version that Jack sent. Start the time, my name is Jack. I'm not Jack, I'm Howard. This is how we will deliver the speech. My name is Jack and I'm running to be your next VP Education. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I've taken it unwell, so we'd rather keep you all safe. I'm a third year business and events management student, and I'm also the VP of the Drama Society. Over the past 3 years, I've represented you as students at CSU's Board of Trustees, which has meant that I'm already used to taking your feedback to high-level meetings. My main points in my manifesto are centered around representing you as students and getting the best student experience for everybody. For example, did you know it costs us £50 per day to attend university? With strikes, etc., some students have lost upwards of £300 worth of education over the last 2 years. If elected, I wish to lobby the university for a fee reduction in line with how many days you've missed through no fault of your own. If elected, I'd also love to arrange alumni networking events for students to build connections in their chosen industry. There's an age-old saying that it's not what you know, but who you know. So I'd love to help readdress the balance and help those students make those connections. These are just a snapshot of my manifesto and some of the things I'd love to do if elected. Therefore, please consider voting Jack, number 1 for VP Education. And then ends on the slogan, he's got your back, vote Jack. Toby, the final candidate, hasn't sent me a speech. So that's the kind of speech section over. Now we move on to the 2 questions, which, as I mentioned, were pre. See, Jack has sent answers for these, so I'll be playing Jack tonight. But we'll go back to Lois. So you're welcome to stay seated or sit down.
I think I will follow the
So you'll have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer each of these. So thank you. I'll ask the first question first. So what do you think are the current key issues that affect students' academic experience, and what would you do about them?
So since being your current Vice President of Education, I've noticed a lot of key issues which are general themes of discussion, discussed in student voice meetings, and many of which are issues that I faced when I started my degree back in 2019 and are still ongoing to this day. First key issue that I feel like I need to address is the unexpected course costs. Many students that I've spoken to this week and read on student voice meetings, I have reflected on their frustrations on this topic. Unexpected costs can include from printing, study materials, technology, books and resources, travel and parking, food and accommodation, and so much more. Students already have to pay £9,250 per year academically to study, and even more so for international students. This is more than enough. To work on this, I'll have conversations with the university to try and improve the quality of education, ensuring all students have the resources they need to succeed academically. I aim for increased funding to be implemented throughout your academic support and to help students with unexpected course costs. Timetabling is also an issue that I'd like to address. Nearly all students I have spoken to in the past 8 months want a timetable system which is convenient for all. Lectures being too early or too late in the day, which leads to more issues leading to travelling home at night, safeguarding issues, and people missing out on training within their sports and opportunities within their societies. Even if they're re-elected, I like to continue my support within my work closely with timetabling to ensure all courses for all campuses and centres are convenient timetable.
Thank you, Lois. And now for Jack's answer, you can as well. So the same question, obviously, what do you think is the current issue that affects student academic experience, and what would you do about them? So Jack has said, the main issue I found when speaking to students both in Chester and at other university centres is that there is a gap in assessment feedback and the quality of it between lecturers. Too many times we receive our grade back with poor or no feedback attached, or it has taken forever to come back. Therefore, how are we meant to understand what we did well and how we can improve future assignments? One student on a master's course I spoke to has been waiting over 2 months for feedback and has yet to receive it. How can the university think this is right? If elected, I want to introduce the standardization of assessment feedback across the department. As a minimum, we should be getting a what went well, what didn't go so well, and how can you improve. By bringing this in, it will not only help us as students improve, but will make the university look better at the quality of grades we are receiving. I also want to introduce the standardization of assessment deadlines, not only for students, but for staff as well. Why is one department requiring their assignments to be handed in at 12 p.m. and another requiring it at 5 p.m.? That's putting students at a disadvantage, and I want to bridge that gap. In addition, we need to hold lecturers to account and require them to give us good quality feedback no more than 20 working days after submission, so we can take that feedback on board and improve. As I say, there is another candidate, Toby, who sent his apologies and couldn't be here. So the second question that was obviously pre-seen by candidate, was how would you ensure students from different courses and campuses are fully represented? Lois.
I recognise that student representation is very important, and one of my main priorities in my manifesto this year is making sure that all students from each campus, course and centres are fully represented throughout the academic year. In doing so, I will visit each campus and centre once a month. Each monthly visit will include a pop-up store where students can come and speak to me about issues and concerns that need addressing on a higher level or action plan. I would also like to welcome students to book on one-on-one sessions with me if they feel that they need more confidential conversations with me rather than going to a pop-up store. I'll continue to ensure that the student body has a strong voice within the university's decision-making processes, including with an increased focus on educational aspects of student engagement. I will continue to collect student feedback and reflect on this back to the committees and to the head of the university executive team. This allows us to get answers and provide updates back to students, ensuring that the feedback loop is closed. Finally, I will continue to support student voice and opportunities through developing student learning networks for underrepresented groups, such as international and postgraduate. Working closely with each department and course rep to sort out key issues and concerns through these monthly visits and also introducing faculty practice.
Thank you, Lois. The answer from Jack on ensuring different courses and campuses are represented. As a student who does not study at Exton Park campus, I often feel a disconnect between the main university and what's happening on my own campus. Having spoken to students in Warrington and at other sites, they feel the same and have stated that they don't feel part of the University of Chester. In order to combat this, we need to be more proactive in getting to these other sites on a regular basis and finding out issues that students are having and how we can improve them. For example, if elected, I want to visit each university centre at least once a fortnight as a way of making sure that all University of Chester students are part of the university and not just Exton Park students. By doing this, this will in turn increase our NSS score, resulting in better quality education for us all. And again, obviously, Toby has said. So now we move to questions from the audience. We've got time for 2 questions. So keep these questions obviously general. Obviously, Lois is the only one present tonight, but the question has to be to the VP education candidate generally, not specifically to Lois. Go ahead.
Hi, so when I first started as a student, which was in the 2018-19 academic year, we had something called the Aspire Bursary, which in fact provided our course books for us. Would you be interested in liaising with the university to restore this Aspire Bursary and thus take the course materials off the students?
So this is part of my manifesto points to this actual academic year. I recognise that there is a lot of unexpected course costs. There's a lot of unexpected course costs which you've absolutely discussed, and I feel like £9,250 plus is far more than enough, and students have to pay to come here academically each year on year. I do recognise that I'm being a fine arts student 3 years ago, and I just finished last year. I recognise that it does cost quite a lot of money for those costs around that, so it's more than something that I really would like to look into and have started looking into this academic year as BPM already. So that's something I would like to continue doing so, and has been reflected on my manifesto as well.
Wonderful, thank you.
Second question for VP education. IDS management? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. So, what would be 12 months down the line for your year? What would success look like for you?
Well, so 12 months now, I'd really like to be on this role, of course, and just reflecting, like I said, what I thought, I believe that this year is only just the beginning. I believe I have so much more potential, and I can believe I can do so much more within my role. I believe as well, if I'm elected, I'll be able to help support the other 2 officers coming into the role, make them feel welcome, and take them somewhat under my arm, support them and guide them as well. I think that's a success as well in itself, being able to support a new team, help them through key university people like that, and also help them through committees and papers and just support them. So I felt like when I first started, there was a great introduction to me, so I feel like it would be really beneficial for that as well. As well as that, hopefully work somewhere in the university or in the university market would be a good step forward as well.
Great, thank you very much. That's all of our education candidates. Thank you, Lois. Cody and Jack also. Sorry you couldn't make it. And we'll move swiftly on to our students. We do have quite a few student life candidates, so could you put your hand up if you are one of those in the room? Oh my God. You count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like there's 6 of you. I'm going to have 3 at a time come up and give you your 2-minute speech. There's a bit of stage management that'll have to happen here, but I promise it'll try and go smoothly. But if 3 of you could come up and sit next to me, or in these 3 seats, and then if 3 of you could sit in these seats here.
Woo!
We will get round to everyone, which is obviously. Yeah. So similar to the last role, we'll have 2 minutes opening speech and then we'll move to questions. So if I could ask you this time to say your name first and then your 2-minute speech, and then we'll move on to the discussion. So start with.
Let you guys know if you're going to try it. When you get into more information, it's that.
And you're free to stay seating or you're free to stand up as well. Obviously, the projector was, it's not a massive room, but for the whole room and online can as well.
Hello everyone, I'm Keelan Bryant and I'm running for Vice President Student Life for our student union. I'm excited to have the opportunity to represent our student body and make a positive impact to our campus. I believe that being a good Vice President means being an effective advocate for students. As your Vice President, I will work tirelessly to ensure that your voices are heard and that your needs are met. I will be accessible and approachable, and I work closely with our President and other members of the executive team to make our student union work for you. One of my main priorities as Vice President will be to get external sponsorship for sports and societies from local Chester businesses. I know that many societies struggle financially and the student union is unable to properly financially support them. I've consulted with several societies and obtained their feedback on this matter, and it is unanimous among the folks I spoke to, the platforms for additional funding is necessary. But as the president of the newly formed Basin Society, I can personally identify the struggles for accessing the correct funding. I work to ensure that all societies have the necessary funding through creating a society fair. I've reached out to various businesses in the community and they are more than happy to support our societies, and they recognise the importance of the university in the social realm of the city. In addition to what I've mentioned so far, my manifesto contains several other ideas and initiatives that will benefit your student life. These include reducing stigma attached to mental health. This will be done by creating a Let's Talk campaign, where I encourage sports and society presidents to start a conversation and encourage them to share their experiences with mental health. I want to bring back SU Fridays, we need to work toward bringing back and supporting our local talent. No £8 charges to Dancing Roses. Let's utilise our student union bar. The University Olympics, which I have the opportunity to share about soon, and finally increasing the opportunity for financial support for students. We should work to expand existing financial aid programs and explore new avenues for funding to increase support for students.
Moving on to the next Brendan, you say your name and then you'll.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Tom and I am running to become your new Vice President of Student Life. A little bit about me, I'm a third year physical education student and I am based here on the Exton Park campus. I am currently the charity officer for the men's football and the men's cricket team, and I'm also part of the futsal team as well, where I was social secretary. Here are the main points of my manifesto, but I would say which also covers I want to create a more active campus, I want to create a more greener campus, I want to also continue to work to improve mental health education and improve on that, and also to provide more postgraduate schemes. I believe I'm the right person for the role because I'm a compassionate, sociable, and charismatic person. I love the life of student life here at the University of Chester, and I want to give it back to the university. So I really hope you vote for me because, as my hashtag says, Tom is the one.
Hi everyone, my name is Emmanuel Bikram and I am a second term foundation BA student, currently studying business finance. Well, firstly, I want to say a big thank you to God Almighty and to you, the electoral body, and to all my supporters out there and to every student, including my fellow contestants. It's indeed a great opportunity to be here today. I'll be talking about a few things here, but first, mostly important, letting you know I haven't gone to make promises, as you all might have heard lots of unfulfilled promises in the past. Or pardon me, let me use this word, propagandas, by saying I will make life easy, or saying I want to reduce tuition fee, give free accommodations, and many other impossible missions. Many other impossible missions which are not in my powers but in the hands of the university and other high authorities to decide. Maybe just to make you vote for me. Sorry if you expected to hear those from me. But one thing I can tell you for you is being an international student and an experienced leader coming from a different background and meeting with other home students over here, having discussions about student life with them and their views. I can tell you boldly that I know 80% of the problems students face, both international and home students. I can assure you this through God's grace that I will do my best working with the incoming president and other students and executives to make student life a better one. I know I am the right candidate and I believe in you. I believe in you, the students, and I believe in myself to deliver effectively. If I am being elected, together we can make a difference. This I promise you.
Thank you very much. So if you three could leave the stage, you'll be back soon, and you three could join. And then we've got a two-minute statement, and second warning from Lauren.
So, my name is Sil McCulloch and I'm an archaeology student. I'm in my first year and it might not be very obvious, but I'm clearly quite different in comparison to a lot of the other candidates here. What I'm here to focus on, primarily as VP of Student Life, is helping the students. I want to improve the life of the students here. There are a lot of issues that are in place and they are vastly gone into place because of current conditions. Prime example, Varsity Bar. That used to be packed. There were people across all over Chester lined up waiting to go in. I've heard this from former students, but present students. The Varsity Bar was a massive place for people, and since COVID restrictions have come into place, it is no longer the tighting it once was. The same applies as well to events and as well to the sort of social life that was there, present beforehand. What I, to be a student life, want to do is to reignite that joy, the fun that was once had here at the university before my time, where there are still students here who miss it. And I want to make sure that university is something that people enjoy. I want people to come to university and to feel really like a student, not like someone who's here to do a bit of exams or assignments and then go somewhere. The student identity is something that is unfortunately starting to be lost. As VP of Student Life, I want to ensure that it's not. I want to bring back that student life and that student identity. And I want to improve the communications with the CSU, the students and societies to ensure that happens. Thank you.
I am a first year computer science student and I am an international student as well. And as an international student, you know how lonely it gets. You find it hard to socialize, you find it hard to find people of your own kind, and you find it hard to understand people of other cultures. And as VP student life, I believe nobody should have to go through that again. We as students are here to not be disappointed by student life because personally I was really disappointed when I first came here. I have not really felt like I was living it. But now that I had the opportunity to make it different for the students who come after me, I believe that as VP student life, we should be making university a lot more fun by making more events, making it easier to socialize, and making cultural events more of a thing in the university. And we as students need to have fun in the university life. Today, I would like to propose that we as students take it forward with societies, clubs, make it more personal, make more events where we can socialize, not only with the students on this campus, but with students all over the University of Chester student body. We as CSU should be taking the step forward to make it a more hospitable campus and to make this a home and not just a university where we come to get our degrees. This is a community. We are not in just an organization. This is a community to be a safe place for students of our age.
So hi guys, my name is Alicia. Before I start, I just really want to apologise because I am fighting a illness at the moment. So I don't normally sound like this as well. And aside from the serious parts of my manifesto, promise you I am all really, really friendly. So if you want to come catch me afterwards or if you see me around campus, feel free to talk to me. I promise I'm really, really friendly. Which is kind of one of the things that I kind of want to be if elected as VP student life. It's just a friendly face that people can come and talk to about the good things and the bad things because they're both equally as important as each other. Most things in my manifesto kind of feed into my passions and my love for mental health and well-being, and kind of feeding that into sports teams and societies as well. All of that and more in my manifesto. It's a lot of things. I'll be here all day. But yeah, things I am really passionate for and why I wanted to go for the position in the first place. Bit about me, my background, I've been a student ambassador for over a year, as well as working with the outreach department, going to HE fairs and things like that, being a peer mentor, joining the Drama Society last year, and setting up my own society and being the president of the K-pop Society as well this year. But yeah, it's just a lot of
And so I have one last candidate to deliver this 2-minute opening statement. Are you ready? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ezra Emmanuel Laguni. I'm a master's student in family and child psychology. I'm an international student. I am vying for the position of the vice president student life because over time I've acquired a lot of experience. Before coming down here, I worked with the United Nations and the Secretary General in Nigeria precisely. I've held many positions in unionism, being the class governor, I've been the Secretary General in the university. Then I'm a humanitarian by nature, so I don't struggle to be kind to people and to try to bring change in the society where I find myself. And the University of Chester is a community that's so loving, it's so great. As an international student, we want to make it more wonderful and more exciting and more enjoyable for our students, not just the local students, but also international students. My stay here, my first 6 months in the University of Chester has been somehow horrible, but it's I'm picking up. As a mental health practitioner, I came to discover that a lot of international students are depressed, and that going through a lot of anxiety, which we need to take care of. One of my main targets is on health. How do we help our students to access medical care with ease? It's one of the targets, and also international students. Most of our international students are coming all the way from Liverpool to school here, and accommodation is one of my priorities to be able to see how the University of Chester will have family expansion on family accommodation, and also on welfare, and also on employability. If I'm elected,
Stop you there, sorry.
yeah, thank you.
Do you want to finish that sentence though, if you're elected?
Yeah, I'm elected with the wonderful team, with the vice president, education, and the president, and the electoral body will be able, and the staff will be able to give the students a better place to university. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. So we'll now jump into the questions that were pre-seen, and I'm going to start with you just at the end. And so, how would you ensure, this is a minute and a half you have, by the way, and that'd be time for everyone. How would you ensure all students feel part of the community?
So one of my main things, especially in the past week, having visited the other campuses as well, is like lack of communication is a big issue that students are having. So my goal, and I think a lot of the other candidates as well would say, would be to make ourselves more present on the campuses, as well as our own here at Exton Park, to be able to kind of get face-to-face feedback with students, and as well kind of build the connection within kind of the local Chester community as well, because students, for example, at Shrewsbury won't be able to have a clue what's going on at Chester if we don't have that communication and things like that. Like, we, as students, we have no idea how to vote in local Chester elections and things like that. It would be really crucial for us to know, just in case. For me, as an Australian student, I spend my whole year studying and living here, so it's kind of something that is really important, and just being building that communication. Really important.
Thank you very much. Same question, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so how would you ensure all students feel part of the community in Chester?
First one, I really love that. Yes, we do feel very disconnected when we come to university because we come alone. We don't have a family, we don't have friends around here, and we do come very alone. And we find it hard to find the right network and communication and the people who give us the comfort that we need to socialize properly, or else we are just sinking into a hole of depression and isolation. So I believe that there should be more networking being done with these students, more events where people can meet each other, and definitely a lot more fairs, a lot more resources where students can find the right guidance and the right friends and a family close by in which they can confine in and they can find their safe space to feel a part of community instead of being alone and usually rotting in their rooms.
Okay. Same question to you, so how would you ensure all students feel part of the community in Chester?
Yeah, it's simple. It's part of my manifestos. I think number one, I have in mind to, with the help as a teamwork, to organize international cultural fair. Culture is what defines us. Our culture is fading away. We have different set of people coming into this great community. We can't forget our culture. The International Cultural Fair will bring us together to meet our families across all campuses. When we do a tour by campaigning to visit other campuses, we discover that we've been a kind of apart, far from the main campus. So a cultural fair will cut across the 5 campuses, and we can unite together, where we can come around together, dance, eat our cultural food, play our cultural games, and be innovative and speak about our culture so that our culture will not fade, our culture will fade away. So we must lay hold of our culture to bring our people together, because culture is one thing that bonds people together. Thank you.
I'll bring you on at the end as well. Okay, so same question. How would you ensure all students feel part of the community at Chester and this moment?
So, to get everyone together to feel like they are one, to make sure everyone feels like a big community, I want to, as I mentioned in my beginning statement, the student identity. The student identity is a critical part of coming to university, and it is one of the main reasons why a hell of a lot of people like to go here. Obviously, there is the reasons why people go to university to study, to potentially get degrees and masters, to get a job in the future. But really, what matters is in the now. It's about the sense of community and the sense of being. The student identity is a very critically important thing, and I want to reinforce that to be a student life through a variety of communities, connecting with local businesses to provide better student opportunities and offers, provide better resources, opportunities, events in the university across all the campuses to bring everyone together and to realise and to remember that we're all students. No matter how old you are, no matter what you're studying, if you are here to study, you're a student, and I believe that that title of student is what you bring us all together.
Do you want me to repeat the question? Yes. How would you ensure all students feel part of the community of Chester?
Well, after visiting Shrewsbury and Warrington campuses, I was really surprised to hear that they do not feel as part of the University of Chester, as they don't have the chance to have set up sport, be a part of sports teams and society. I have a belief that there is no campus left behind. If elected, I will try to work closely with the university in order to try and find ways to subsidise transport so that students from Warrington, Shrewsbury, Birkenhead can get transport to Exton Park to make sure that they can join a sports team or society, as this will help to ease the barriers to participation. I also want to help promote more events on the Warrington, Shrewsbury and Birkenhead campus so they feel a part of the university. I am not going for the VP of Exton Park. I am going for the VP of Chester Students' Union. So that's including Warrington, Shrewsbury, Birkenhead, all the campuses part of the University of Chester.
I believe that there are several ways that I can ensure that all students feel part of our community. But what is our community? Our community involves 13,990 students across 7 different sites. Those include nearly 4,000 international students as well. So we need to find a way to encompass everyone in our community into one. How do we do that? We need to foster a welcoming and inclusive environment. This can be achieved through activities that promote diversity and inclusion, such as cultural events, which has been mentioned by another candidate already. I have an idea about introducing a university Olympics to be able to bring all of these different people into one area to socialise. I'll provide opportunities for social interaction, and by providing these opportunities, we can help students connect with one another and develop those friendships. This can be achieved through events such as socials, clubs, societies, organisations, which will all be enhanced if I'm elected through gaining that external funding from local Chester businesses. I will encourage student involvement. Why? Because through encouraging students to get involved in the community, our community, we can help them feel like they're an important part of our university. This can be achieved through going to activities such as This can be achieved through activities such as increasing membership in our societies and providing a safe place for students to feel included, such as SU Fridays and in general our SU Bar.
And finally, on the question of how would you ensure all students feel part of the community of Chester?
Okay, so basically, providing support services. So sometimes students need additional support to feel like they belong. As the Vice President of Student Life, I will work with the President and other executives to ensure that students have access to resources they need to succeed. This will involve providing mental health services, academic support programs, and resources for students who are experiencing financial difficulties.
And then, for the second question, I'll start with you. The second question is, the student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize in this role?
I believe the first thing that I would like to advise is making sure that students actually find the right place to find mental health resources. Because I have friends who couldn't find how to get this therapist from university, and they have been spiraling in their mental health. That's the first thing. Another thing is to find a way to make students feel like they're part of a community and not just an organization, and that they are not the only people going through what they are, and that they as students have the rights to access every resource that the university provides, and that they are able to access it without having to go through a lot of obstacles. And as your student VP Student Life, I believe that we need more communication, more networking, and that starts with socials, that starts with finding your people, and that starts with finding your right voice and to find who you are as a person. And so as VP Student Life, I would like to focus on mental health resources, on finding the right events, and finding who you are as a person.
Thank you very much. So, the student life position is very broad and actually multiple areas. What would you prioritize in the role?
So I think it's a really good question because it is such a broad role that it covers so much. Within kind of like my manifesto alone, I have to split it up between campus-based things to things within sports teams and societies, to things that are affecting kind of like socials and social life in general. But I think kind of, if elected, my main priority would be to kind of start looking to fix the issues that are directly affecting students first. So as I said before, being able to kind of open those lines of communication with us to make sure that students' voices are heard. Within the past week with our student campaign, we've had so much feedback from students on things that kind of need fixing, so that will kind of be my first concern. And then to go dive back into like my manifesto points and to kind of look at issues that students might not know that are affecting them, might not know that need fixing, but kind of aims to fix those issues directly that are affecting them and that they're telling us that need fixing.
Thank you very much. The student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize in this area?
One of my priorities, because I have a few of them. So one of my priorities are career and professional development. So another area of focus for me would be to promote career and professional development among students. This will involve organizing workshops and events that help students develop important skills and gain experience in their chosen fields, as well as providing resources for students who are looking for internships, job opportunities, or graduate programs. And also, we've got lots of international students who also want to participate or rather play football very well. So we are having these difficulties of joining football clubs because of some restrictions, which I'll still look into. Thank you.
So we're going to ask the same question, however, do it 3 times this time. The student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize in this role?
Okay. As the student life position encapsulates multiple areas, but prioritising responsibilities can depend on specific needs of our student body and the goals as an organisation, community. After asking you, the students, what you think should be changed, the most common point was revitalising our student union bar. I spoke with students who were a student here when SU Fridays were a thing, and they said it was the highlight of the week, an alternative to having to leave campus to go to a dance. Currently, students have no choice but to leave the campus. And I spoke with students at different universities as well, and they explained to me about the quality of their SU bar and how it functions as a thriving hub for students. As a university, we need to do better. We need to provide a platform for socialising like the one I proposed today. Why? Because this has multiple benefits for our student life. Promoting student engagement provides an opportunity for students to get involved and engaged in campus activities beyond academics. It helps students meet people and develop new skills, and basically become a more well-rounded chap. A student union club creates a safe and inclusive space for students from diverse backgrounds and interests to come together and interact with one another. And utilising student musical talent is an important way for us to create a vibrant campus culture and provide opportunities for collaboration, enhancing student experience and building back our community.
Yeah, the student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize?
So for me, I would like to prioritize two very important points: communication and fun. Communication is a unanimously massive issue that I think everyone here has experienced at one point in time with university, with CSU, and with each other. Communication is a difficult thing. And I can understand why that there are difficulties that I have, but I want to make sure that those difficulties are made much easier. I want to make sure that communication is prioritized first, so that we can all understand what we need, and so we can basically be a better campus. So we can not have the divides and issues that can often form between, say, societies and students, or societies and the CSU, the university and students. We don't need these divides. We need to be students together. The second point as well to prioritize is fun. Fun is something that can go in many forms. It can go through the varsity bar, being reignited, being brought back into action. But it can also come in more smaller, less thought of things. If you're out with your mates and you're, say, going to the campus cafe before you head out for a game of football or going out, if you go and you want to try and buy food that suits your personal dietary needs, and the campus cannot provide them, then immediately your fun is quelled. I want to make sure that every dietary option is also prioritized. Halal, kosher, gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. I want to make sure everyone can be together and everyone can have fun and communicate with each other properly.
Thank you. So the student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize?
Before we get it right, we must go to the root. What is the cause of the problem? Why are our students getting depressed, anxiety, and so on and so forth? After carrying out my research, the fundamental thing I discovered is accommodation. When you are coming into a society and you don't have a place to lay your head. So first, to make sure that we have affordable and expand our accommodation for local students and international students, and make our international students our priority for accommodation. Two, the airport pickup. When we were able to pick our students up, we expand that, we have given them a sense of belonging and welcoming that they will be carried along. Thirdly, the culture which I talked about, social aspects. Then healthcare. Most of our international students are finding it very difficult to access healthcare. So with the help of the school, we can bring the medical directorate into the school where students can walk in. If they find it difficult to access healthcare, they can walk in, and the medical directorate there can book an appointment for our students if they have all contacts of all the GPs. God bless you. Thank you.
So it's the same question. Student life position is very broad and encapsulates multiple areas. What would you prioritize? Number one?
Very good question. I would say it's down to three priorities for me. The first of which is jobs, and that's just not only for students as well. Not just student jobs on campus, but in the community of Chester, Warrington, Shrewsbury, and Birkenhead. Due to the cost of living crisis, students are having to work more hours because it's played a massive part in their budgeting. What I really want to do is to work with the communities of all Warrington, Shrewsbury, Chester, and also the campus, so that students can get flexible hours which will not interfere with their studies. My other one that I've already mentioned is to decrease the barriers to participation. The last one and the third one of my priorities is society's participation. Before COVID-19, there were nearly over 80 societies. Now that number, because of COVID, those societies have decreased. Now that the days of COVID restrictions are behind us, I want to look to boost those societies back up to where they should be, because just being a part of society isn't just about making friends, finding people with the same common interest as you. It is a breakaway, and it is so good to stress relief away from uni work, and they are my three main priorities.
Have we heard from all of the student life candidates in the room? In case any hiding? Great. Okay, so now we go on to questions from the audience. Remember, general questions, you can't be aiming at a specific candidate. Who has questions? Just seeing if anyone else you have some before. Which is no? Okay, let's go with you.
Okay, so a large part of student life is what we might call drinking culture, and a fair few people have mentioned society socials and the varsity bar. Seeing as we are now a recovery-friendly university, having just signed the pledge, how are you going to accommodate recovery-friendly spaces and make sure that students in recovery or simply teetotal or sober by choice students are going to be accommodated within social student life?
Thanks very much. So a question about drinking culture and how we make it capture recovery friendly.
Yeah, I think you said it a lot more succinct than I did.
Okay, should we start with you again?
Okay. It's easy to bring people together, and it's easy to bring a lot. And how do we go from there? When you are able to manage whatever we are doing, because this is an institution, we can't break the law. There are rules and regulations that governs this community. So first, we are all equal before God and before humanity. So we'll be able to create an avenue whereby whatever we're doing, we do it with moderate caution, not to break the principles, the laws of this prestigious university. Thank you.
A question to you about drinking culture on campus and how we make the campus recovery friendly.
Well, it's a very interesting and very important point. I would say that when I was in cricket last year, we had 3 players in our team who came from a culture that drinking wasn't allowed. We made sure that they were a part of the team so that they didn't have to feel like pressured or pushed into towards a drinking culture. We also, some societies as well, offer sober socials, making sure that they are a part of the university team or society, but do not be pushed into that mentality of drinking all the time.
Yeah. Thank you. Questions are a really good one. I've thought about. As Tom mentioned, societies do offer, sober socials. Sometimes it's hard, funding and stuff like that is an issue, and that's where one of my manifesto points comes in. Being able to get that extra money or be able to pay, £2 or £3 out of everyone's bowling fee, stuff like that. We have this SU building. Obviously, we're going to move into the lawn soon. I think that's correct.
I think that's been pushed back, but
Yeah.
we have the SU building.
But I have spoke to some folks in the SU building here who love coming in here. You know, the controllers are now spoken about them. Loads of their trainers come in, but there's only two or three controllers. Sometimes they're a bit temperamental. You know, getting that extra funding to be able to get those extra controllers and utilise the spaces that we have. I'll leave it there.
Thank you guys. So, question about drinking culture on campus and how candidates will ensure the campus is recovery friendly.
So this is one of the things I considered when I have a higher particular manifesto point to do with just general socials. I know we have them within societies and sports teams, but maybe if we had a general one, ideally located within the SU building, I think we need to make use of it more, so that we can make sure that, especially on student nights on Wednesdays, that if you don't want to go out drinking, you can maybe do things like crafts or like arts or things like that, so that you don't have the pressure to go out and you can meet up with other people from other societies as well as an alternative in a quiet space as well. But no, I do think it is a really important thing to have, because a huge part, I think, is missing out on things and like accessibility for all like students and something that I've definitely like yeah, it's like a big concern.
Thank you very much.
As someone who doesn't drink much myself, one of my manifesto points is that we need to have more social spaces that are open outside the school hours, the office hours. And I believe we don't have enough of those on campus. The Wings Cafe closed by 6 p.m. I believe, and CSU is closed by 4. We do not have enough social spaces to hang out with friends or to do anything other than the CSU bar. And that usually does involve drinking. So as one of the candidates, it's part of my manifesto that we have more social spaces where people can hang out other than the Groner common room. Because when I first came to university, we would hang out there a lot. And then we had to move out because it wasn't really that much of a social space, it wasn't enough. So we as students need to have a more comfortable place where we can have an alcohol-free, have a fun time without alcohol, and have an actually good time. While games nights and things like that are going on, but they're going on in the CSU bar. I believe we need to have something, area which is not really that connected to the CSU bar, and still gives students the freedom to walk in at any time and have a good time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I don't drink, but I would say my other candidates already said everything. But so like they say, an idle mind is always filled with some nasty things. So I think if there are events and stuff that people could occupy themselves with, I think stuff like that would be there. So I think basically setting up programs like events and good places where we can just stay and hang out with that, like games, all that stuff that will help, not just drinking or stuff like that. Sorry, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Who hasn't spoken on this? The question is about drinking culture on campus and how we make it recovery friendly.
So, the problem point of that specific question, recovery friendly, it is more about offering better opportunities where alcohol does not have to be involved. Now, I come from a place of quite interesting circumstances for this. I, myself, I like a good drink. My best friend, however, does not drink. However, there's a reason why we're best friends. We hang out, we get to spend time together because the alcohol is not required. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of students who like to go out and have a drink. Maybe go to the varsity bar, maybe go to the club. But offering better locations and better opportunities for students who don't drink or who would rather not drink to also get access to that socialization is really important, reinforcing the idea that we're all students and we all want to help each other. Primary example, next to the varsity bar, there is the diner, the large kitchen area. I have seen in my time that area be used to watch things, like the football. I think it's the football sort of. That area, when maybe not in use as the specific kitchen, can absolutely be used as a giant common room that would be more accessible to a lot of the people on campus, including people off campus. We also need to focus on other areas as well, Warrington, Shrewsbury, Birkenhead. These areas need to have dedicated spaces where you don't have to focus on alcohol. There needs to be a space where you can go and just socialise with your friends, regardless of alcohol, and primarily without. That's what I, VP Student Life candidates, would like to achieve and acquire.
I think it's time for another question for the VP Student Life candidate. If not, anything else? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I've been here for quite a while and I've seen the introduction of the athletics union, which was supposed to help societies grow and everything. But I feel like as someone from a society background, societies is still very much on the back burner. So how do you guys plan on to change that?
So society's on deprioritized, how do you plan to
Yeah, so
make
there's
even
more
more
resources
resources?
in societies.
Yeah. Did everyone get that?
Everyone get a question, sorry.
Could you just rephrase it one more time because I was
Yeah, so as someone from a society background, there's quite a few people who feel that societies are being deprioritized in comparison to sports. And obviously because some people who might not particularly enjoy sports as much, they still need
Like they don't feel among,
what's that, sorry?
they don't feel among.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, how would you equalize
Yeah.
societies being equal?
So how do you make sure that society and sports are being equal time, equal important?
As, yeah, sorry, as we all know, we are hosting
Let's
in.
go in order, sorry.
Yeah, so really good question. I think probably what connects both of them is, I think on both sides, like lack of funding with things. It's been raised in both sports teams that I've spoken to as well as society. I come from particularly like society background, so I've been a part of drama for a year. Started my own society this year, and like one of my manifesto is to look at doing kind of like one-to-one support, especially society starting, because you don't start off being huge. So it's like giving kind of support in being able to help you like learn how to promote, maybe like helping to learn to use things like Canva, be able to form a committee, little things like that to help kind of societies grow, as well as kind of continuing that support as they are all going and grow to develop into big societies. It's a huge thing, and just to be able to kind of work with societies in partnership with sports teams, so that kind of that equal support is being given. Because yeah, there's also things that I think we could think about things.
Thank you very much.
For societies, it's important to have societies be more accessible as well as more promoted within our university. If you go to university, you expect there to be societies, and having societies be pushed back, which importance and prominence as they should be, is a massive issue. There are two primary ways which I want to ensure that societies are brought back and given more prominence that they absolutely deserve, especially in comparison to athletic unions, sports societies. One is funding. I did a bit of investigating before I came as to what is actually happening with the money and the funding. And I might not have the numbers exactly correct, it might not be perfect, but it's about £130,000 the CSU has post all the things they've invested into other societies. I think we should have that as reduced as possible and ensure that all the money and resources that we can have access to are afforded to societies. There needs to be better support for society in funding them. Another primary issue I want to know what to do is adverts, more advertisements and more, I suppose, promotion. There needs to be a better focus on societies promoted-wise, as well as how to access societies, how to build up societies. And I think the university provides workshops, which if I Christian, I will make sure happens, that can be given a better opportunity and better focus.
So basically, like I said before, as regards to football, I said I was going to like talk about most international students who knows how to play football, and they are not given the opportunity to play or to join the teams or some stuff like that because of restrictions. So basically, funding is also one of the priorities or one of the major things to focus on in the Texas and everything. So it's really do well if every society who feels maybe they're not involved in or getting along should speak up or come up to any of the or the executives and the school or like people who are like that people got to complain or stuff like that. Yeah. So that should be it. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Do you remember the question was how do you show force we've got on a level footing, not one being an advantage? Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, so the thing in society is that most students don't know how to promote themselves. They do not know how to reach out to students, and students usually can't get a hold of people who are recruiting members. That's how it goes with societies. And as students, making student life, I believe that societies should be given the right support and the right training to put themselves out there and make themselves known to the students so that they know that there is a society for something. Because personally, I didn't know about the societies that I'm part of. I didn't know about them till I searched them up on the website, and then I went and joined them. So the thing with societies is that you need to know that they exist. And I believe societies and people who are setting up such societies need to be given the right training and also the right resources to set up a society like that. Another thing that I noticed is that most of the students usually dip when they hear about the fees. They do not want to pay to be a part of the society. So I believe that it should be they should be given a reason to join the society and not just have the money put up at them in the first 10 minutes that they go to the introduction session. So as we be student life, I would like to make societies more accessible and more social to students and make it more available to those who want to join.
Thank you very much.
I think there's two main issues here, really, why this is the case. One of them is funding, and the other one is COVID. COVID absolutely knocked out so many societies, and why? Because during COVID, societies lacked the support to keep on running. That online stuff, that weren't as much as what they could be in support there. Funding, that links into my manifesto point. Societies need that more funding, but unfortunately the funding isn't here. We need to look elsewhere, and I've been around, sent a few emails out to some local businesses, and like I said before, they're more than happy to help out our societies grow because they know how important it is for us. How do we do this? Well, as the president of a newly formed debating society, I felt that it's the start of the real struggle about promoting. Societies are a lot smaller than sports, so you don't have such a big committee, you don't have such a wide network of people to spread your society, and that's where a lot of societies fold is in that first period. We need to get more support out there. We need to get all the sports on board to be able to share our platform. The varsity tournament, always a sports tournament, but why aren't societies getting invited to that as well? That's what we need to do. I'd happily invite the societies to the varsity and just increase the amount of schools that the societies have.
Okay, thank you. Actually, a question is part of my manifestos because I'm looking forward to having to work on the campus. There are no African foods. But I tell you, it's simple. If in Bing's building, in the cafeteria, they start producing African food, you will see a lot of Africans meet in Bing's building, and it will be easy for them to associate with themselves. They meet the contact there. Asian foods are also not on campus. You hardly get them. So if you begin to prepare Asian foods, you will see Asians will meet at those areas and they connect, oh brother, and they speak their language. And you start building the community together. That's why I talked about culture. Culture is the main thing. Then one of the things I have in mind to do is ladies' night hangout. When you have a program like that, you will see all the young men to come around and it can connect people together. And I want to talk about ladies' quiz and men's quiz night where we can come together and meet. Then we talk about our cultural games and our cultural dance. If you beat a drum or you put the music of our cultural, if you put our cultural music here, you will see everybody will start jumping. If that's your culture, you see, you remember home and you want to get connected. So, by God's grace, if I'm elected, with the help of the staffs and the president and the vice president education, will be able to give this organization, this community, a better place for students. Thank you.
We'll get more chairs now. Yeah, so any question for you?
First of all, thank you very much for bringing up that point. As someone who's on the sports committee, I can completely understand from your view. If I'm elected, I don't view societies and sports as different. I view everyone as equal. That also makes it to the point about boosting societies as well, so that students find their purpose and find a place at the University of Chester. How do I do this? By trying to promote more events like a film night, for example. We used to have a Star Wars Society, which I don't believe we have one anymore. So what I want to do is probably have a film night where I put a Star Wars film. If people come along and watch, they turn up and say, oh, we used to have a Star Wars Society. So that way we can get those societies back up by doing more events. If all elected as well, if any society tag me in their social media on Instagram or any other social media, I will help them to promote it. I'm also that person as well that don't want to just constantly read emails like and respond. I want to come out and meet societies so that I can meet them face to face and finding out what's going well, what can we improve and how can we get better. Because I believe communication is a massive important thing that I think needs to be improved.
Thank you very much. That concludes all of the VPs for student life. There are actually 9 in total running, so we're going to have a break now, but obviously you're free to have a look at the manifestos, which are posted up, and they're also on the website. Thank you, candidates, for VP student life. We're now going to have a 10-minute break. So use the toilet, pizzas, whatever else, and then we'll come back. Make sure you come back for the rest.
I've got it.
And then we'll get started.
Everyone's got any hands if you open them now.
Great, good thing now. We'll put on the release. Cool. Thanks for rejoining us after the break. We now have our presidential candidates on the stage. We did the same as before, how will we time with 10-second notice. So please choose your name and your 2 minutes each.
Do I start?
Yes.
Can I start? Sorry.
Yeah, of course you can.
Ready? Yeah, great. Hello, I'm Prashant Nambutri. First of all, I would like to apologize for my cough. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Again, here we go again. I'm Prashant Nambutri. I'm a fellow University of Chester student who's doing my final year of chemical engineering. When I moved to the city, I never thought I would stood here one day talking about my ideas and ideologies to a wider audience that I will bring into existence, hopefully, once I become the president of Student Union. Moving away is difficult, and joining societies have been one of the best things that I've done in my 4 years. And I met my sports and society mates before I even met my flatmates, but they both are family far from home for me. The scenario I thought of loads of different scenarios to both these, but VR One is the perfect and the apt name for it. It's to create and it's to increase the come on. Right. It's to improve the raised awareness about mental health and how to tackle the adversities caused due to depression and anxiety. Moving on to the next agenda on my manifesto is to run a national campaign on cap on student accommodation rent. Majority of the maintenance loan that the university students get is it goes towards accommodation. To have a cap on that, and we are left with literal pennies. And finally, to introduce a green graduate program with the help of faculties and staff to improve the employability options for fellow students and create wider career options, helping students become students become future leaders in their respective fields, and to fast track universities aim to be carbon net zero by 2030. These are my goals that I plan on working achieving during my tenure as student union president. Thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully, when I was talking, I was like, does it make really sense? But again, we go again. So, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma Smith. I'm a third year geography student here at Chester. I'm also just captain of women's hockey and I've been involved in multiple other sports whilst I've been at Chester. And I'm going to be your student union president for the next academic year. So I actually want to take you all the way back to my first day of first year. I just come up all the way from the Midlands, moved into my uni accommodation. I was all by myself and decided to come into the student union, and the first person I saw when I walked in was the student union president at the time. And that was a really friendly face for me to see. And I want to be that friendly face for students like I had when I first arrived. And I want to continue this if I was elected president for the next year, for the students at all levels and at all ages. I want to use that approachable nature that I think I have to support my top manifesto points, which are to connect the students more with the Students' Union by having those conversations with them and giving feedback so the students know they're being listened to. By improving wellbeing, I've kind of gone about this in 2 ways. First one is to do with education, by having more support with your assignment deadlines, which I will speak about a little bit later. And then also to do with more social aspect, by having the university put on social events for your course, rather than it being left to societies, which sometimes might not be happening. And then the third point is to reduce the impact that the cost of living crisis is having on students. I think the students are the people that know what issues it is that you are facing, and I'd like you to come to me and we can talk about this in a confidential way, and I can pass that on to the Students' Union, and then you can get the feedback and the support you need. Overall, I want the students to be at the heart of the Students' Union and to be comfortable in their surroundings as well. I want to advocate for changes that you really want, whilst keeping up the support that the students need and currently have, as well as being improvement too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Our third presidential candidate not with us tonight on the Senate speech ahead of time. Sorry about now. Doing the same as Howard, obviously my name is Warren, but I'll be taking the name of the candidate. Hello CSU community, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to reach out and express my sincerest apologies for not being able to attend the function that you invited me to. Unfortunately, due to my current health condition, I'm unable to attend. I was really looking forward to the event and it saddens me that I won't be there in person. However, my doctor has advised me to take care of myself in order to ensure a quick recovery. As much as I would love to be there, I don't want to put myself in a situation where my health would be compromised. Please know that my absence is in no way a reflection of my commitment or enthusiasm towards the event. I'm truly sorry for any inconvenience that my absence may cause, and I hope that you understand my situation, but I would like to record my statement about my candidacy. I'm honoured to stand before you as a candidate for the position of President of the Students' Union. Our platform centres around three key pillars: advocacy, engagement and accessibility. First and foremost, I believe that the Students' Union should serve as a fierce advocate for all students. We need to be proactive in addressing these issues that affect our community, such as mental health resources, campus safety and financial aid. I'm committed to working tirelessly to ensure that our voices are heard by the administration and that we are actively involved in the decision-making process. Secondly, I believe that the Students' Union should strive to foster engagement within the community. We have a diverse student body with a wide range of interests and passions, and it's important that we provide opportunities for everyone to get involved. Whether it be through organising social events, hosting speaker series, or promoting club activities, we need to ensure that every student feels welcome and valued. Lastly, I believe the Students' Union should prioritise accessibility. We need to ensure that every student has equal access to resources and opportunities regardless of their background or circumstances. This means working to make our campus more physically accessible, providing accommodation for students with disabilities, and advocating for financial aid policies that support low-income students. As President of the Students' Union, I'm committed to make our campus a better place for all students. I believe my experience and passion makes me the best candidate for this role, and I promise to work tirelessly to serve our community. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I ask for your vote in the upcoming election. Thank you for your understanding and consideration. Your future President, Kubar Ali. First one, I'll ask the question in the same order as before, so after 20 seconds, and I'll start with the questions. Question one, what issues will be your priorities within your first 100 days?
So as President of the Student Union, my top priorities in the first 100 days would be the national campaign on the rent cap. So meet with landlords and student housing providers to discuss the feasibility of implementing a rent cap for student housing. Via one mental health awareness campaign, meet with campus mental health professionals to discuss current mental health resources and areas for improvement. Create a strategy for increasing the visibility and accessibility of mental health resources on campuses. Organize an environment, and my third point with a green graduate program, organize an environmentally friendly career fair and invite employers from all the fields and to show and to give them the live example of how it can be done and how we can promote it. Overall, my priorities in the first 100 days would be to lay the groundwork for the manifesto points that I've mentioned, building relationships with key stakeholders or the governing bodies, gathering data and information, and launching initiatives to raise awareness and momentum around the issues would be all part of this. By the end of 100 days, I hope to have a clear plan in place for each of the campaigns, as well as a team of dedicated students and staff committed to reaching our objectives. Thank you.
So in the first 100 days, there are quite a few of my manifesto points which would need to be done and work towards at the start. So this is just to simply enable a smooth transition into the next academic year and kind of start as I would need to go on. So the first point would be creating the programme assessment grids for every course at every level, ready for distribution at the start of the term in September, working with the VP of Education. So essentially a programme assessment grid is a big table that you get at the start of the year, which will tell you when all of your assignment deadlines are and have the guarantee that you'll only have one assignment in any given week. This means that it will then be spread out more across throughout the year and it will just improve your wellbeing. This was the point that I was mentioning before about how I want to include education within wellbeing too. When I've spoken to students at other campuses, this has been really well received and it's a point that people have really liked. So my aim would be to get this ready to be rolled out right at the start of the year in September. My second point is to be having better supports for students who are arriving at different times throughout the year. So that's could be for international students, or some courses also start different times throughout the year. So I know, depending on maybe your undergraduate, it means that your master's then starts in January. So I really want that support to be ready for whenever students can start throughout the year, so that it's there for them, and that's why it's higher on my list. I would also like to say that I think it's really important to recognise which jobs need to be implemented immediately. So that's why I think the ones that are needed at the start of the year are most important. As well as this, I'd really like to create a good relationship with the VPs to get the best experience possible for you when you start in September.
Great, thank you. Our third candidate didn't send across any questions, so it will just be the candidates answering. So moving on to the second question. What will success look like after your first 12 months in office?
After a year in office, the success would look like the manifestos, as I mentioned, the manifestos was mentioned, the rent cap, successful negotiations with the landlord and or student housing providers to set a reasonable cap for student living, implementation of measures to ensure that cap is enforced and the landlords charging exorbitant rents do not exploit students. And students should be aware of their rights as tenants and the benefits of the cap. Via one mental health campaign, mental health resources on campus such as counseling services and peer support programs have been made more visible and accessible. Implementation of measures to reduce mental health stigma and also student mental health outcomes have been improved with lower rates of depression and anxiety. That would be the three. Encouraging employability for green graduates and successful collaborations with local businesses and organizations to create opportunities for students to gain work experiences in their respective fields. Sustainable practices are already being implemented on the campuses, but also to demonstrate the university's commitment to the carbon net zero by 2030. Students' awareness of the importance of sustainability in their future careers and the role they can play in creating a more sustainable future has grown. Overall success after a year in office would be reflected in tangible improvements to students' lives and well-being, as well as their future career opportunities. The student union president would be able to demonstrate a commitment to serving the needs and interests of the students or the student body by pointing to concrete achievements in each of the campaigns. Thank you.
Yeah, so what will success look like after the first 12 months in office?
As I said, I want students to be more involved with the Students' Union and to be at the heart of the Students' Union. So success to me will be things like having feedback on the problems that people are having, so then it proves that students are coming to us if we have things to feedback on. I also think to achieve success, we need to have realistic aims, but also ones that are ambitious at the end of the day. Every single one of my manifesto points will be aimed to have been at least worked on, but also with the aim of completing all of them, or having solid foundations so that it's embedded in the aims of the SU and the plans won't be able to be removed. I would like to be receiving positive feedback from students with regards to my manifesto points. So if I approach them about things which they're struggling with at the start of the year, and I have good feedback by the end of the year, to me that would be a success. I'd also like this just to see that the Students' Union is taking a step in the right direction and the way that students want it to be. I think a lot can change in 12 months, and I believe me being your president would lead the SU towards the success which people are wanting.
Both same as before, we're opening to questions from the floor now. If anyone has any questions to presidential candidates? That also goes with people online. Question?
Yeah, I'm sure I might say one, I might have a second. I've got a question.
Tom?
Now that we are moving away from COVID restrictions, what do you think the Students' Union could do to help get back to where it used to be pre-COVID?
So the university at the moment, it's still in a transition phase because COVID is still apparently around. That's what has been told by the news reporters. But again, the cases are rising a bit, but the university as maybe a president, hopefully. And so what we will be working mainly is to create a community that we already have and to try and enrich that opportunities that we have been getting over the period of time, and to increase that and make it more believable, and at least for the students, they will be like, this is our university and they should be aware of that and they should they should be contributing more as much as possible from there and for them to edge. And of course, I will be dedicating my whole for the students to get a better student life experience that they could ever imagine. And only that will be possible with their help. And we could run a pretty good university if that everything comes into existence. Thank you.
I think obviously the university is definitely still feeling the effects of COVID, but I can imagine that most of the cohort that was here before COVID has probably left. So the students probably don't actually know what it is that they're wanting to expect from a university that wouldn't have been affected by COVID itself. So I think the best way would be to go back and actually have a look at what the university looked like before COVID. People enjoyed that university. We had great feedback. There were great things about that. So why not kind of implement some of the things from the past that people have been enjoying? I know the things have been mentioned before about SU Fridays and things like that. Things where it brings people together. That is what people are wanting. So if we go back, have a look at the things that worked. Why can't we bring them in that?
What do you think will be your biggest challenge as president?
Biggest challenge would be representing a wider audience as from the student body, as like I am the representative of the student body, and I have to put up those ideas in front of the governing bodies and make them realize how much of importance is there behind every point, and only then we could come up with a sustainable way and like a way where we could all work together. And it's also the students should understand that just because every need of theirs will not be fulfilled by us, because it is difficult to have that conversation, and not just the conversation, the implementation, because there's already so many practices that's implemented by the university and the governing bodies that's already in existence. But just for us bringing out our ideas, of course, we will try our level best to implement it and bring it to existence. Again, these are the things that, as you mentioned earlier, like it takes time for things to come into existence. Change does not happen in a day. It's a prolonged process, but we will get there. Sure.
Yeah, what do you think will be the biggest challenge to you as president?
I think simply a challenge in life itself is change. I think that will be one of the biggest challenges. Change can take a lot. It's not just one person to implement change. It needs a lot of people to get behind it. So, as I've been saying, I really want the support of the students and to be working with the students. Nothing can be done unless we all work together. And I think having the support of other people will allow change to happen. So, for me, being able to go out and speak to students, having that one-on-one conversations, even maybe in groups, I think that's the way for change to happen. But obviously, that will be a challenge if we're not able to do that. That's why one of the top points on the manifesto is the getting connection between the students and the Students' Union, because I simply think that is the way forward and to have change.
I now have one final question for you both. This presidential role has a very wide remit. Within this role, you'll have many responsibilities. These include chair of the trustee board, the governor of the university, being the lead representative of 15,000 students, attending important university committees, and also your manifesto points. What would be your approach to juggling these responsibilities?
See, it's more of more than a responsibility. It's about representation, because as a president, I will have to tackle these issues. It shouldn't be considered as an issue. It will be like, it's again, as I mentioned, slow changes will come into existence. But again, it is like this. I'm more not worried about. I'm more excited to be the representative of the student union and be a voice in the governing body, and like to take their opinion and their feedback and bring it to the team that I'll be working and come up with creative ideas how we can focus on these problems. Again, it's not a problem. Focus on these issues. Again, it's not an issue though. It's focused on the commitment that I have committed towards it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So the presidential role has probably the widest remit. Within this role, you'll have many responsibilities. These include chairing our trustee board, directing the company, university governor, and being a lead representative of 15,000 students, and also attending important university committees alongside your manifesto points. What would be your approach to juggling these responsibilities?
I think with so many kind of titles, if you will, you have to kind of put on a different cap for each one. You have to separate them all and have them all as individual roles, because obviously there's so many, they're going to get jumbled up otherwise. Sorry. So you need to be able to have the ability to distinguish between all of them. As you mentioned, it was being like on different boards and things like that, as well as being part of committees. So in some of those instances, you'll be working more alongside people compared to maybe leading things, for instance. I've had a bit of experience with that. Obviously, I mentioned that I'm captain of women's hockey on my manifesto. So sometimes I have to put that cap on, but then other times I'm part of the team. So I have to be involved with other people as well. And you have to be able to distinguish between the two, which I think I would be able to do if I was to become president.
Thank you very much for answering all the questions. Handing over to Howard now to close.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, candidates, everyone who's attended tonight. And I hope everyone also at home who wasn't to attend gets better. But we've got voting opening next Monday. It's really crucial to the Students' Union and the democracy and the whole kind of purpose of the organisation as many students vote as possible. And obviously we rely on candidates to reach out to voters to do that. And we'll be out and there'll be pop-ups and everything around during the week. But please tell all your friends, all your course mates, anyone you know who's obviously a student at Chester to vote in the elections. Everything will open on Monday morning. You'll be able to read all the manifestos. These will stay up, so you can always come here. But the last thing I want to end on, it takes a lot, I think, to put yourself forward when you're juggling studies and work as well. So I really want to kind of give big kudos to everyone who stood on this stage tonight and everyone who's going to be running this candidate next week. And I think that, and also thank you to all of the staff who helped tonight with this event, setting it up and staying late. And hope to see you all for a really exciting week of campaigning and voting next week.
And make sure you want the results now.
And make sure the results are next Friday as well. If you have a question, I'll say I'm not.